Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. Today, I'm very happy to be joined by Rahul. Rahul, thanks so much for being here, man.
No, thank you so much, man. I'm excited to be on here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you as well. And something I've been thinking about is I think for just about every episode, I always say, like, yo, I'm very excited or very happy to have the guest on. And I mean that really, truly, sincerely. But though, those things where some people, where they might feel like, if you say something to almost everyone you see, it's not real. But for me, it's an interesting thing because it is real. Like, I really mean that. How do you gauge sincerity when you interact with people in the circumstances that I'm speaking of?
Okay, in your circumstance, okay. So I think it's a pretty good way of just starting off the conversation. Just because it is a podcast, right? A lot of us, at least me in particular, haven't been on a podcast before, so it's like kind of getting things settled in, and we'll just start the converse. It's a good way to segue into the conversation. A good little introduction kind of helps us open up and start a good conversation. And I think that's pretty sincere. I think it's a sincere way of starting a conversation is just to be open and start with a little introduction and say, how are you doing? And going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I mean it again when I say it. Like, it's true. Like, I'm very happy to have you here. This is very cool. And I remember that I really wanted to have you on this some time ago because of something you had said to me. You were like, "Yo, I'm gassing out. I'm getting way too deep." And just when you said that, it was just so funny to me, but it hit so hard. What did you mean by
Let me start off by saying that was kind of a joke. And so what I meant by I know you know it was a joke, but it was just a joke. I was just because we were having this conversation in class just to set the context. Um, I kind of forgot what the conversation was about, but I just remember being a deep conversation, and I just remember like I had a bunch of organic chemistry in it like that same day, and I was just exhausted of like studying, and
that?
I don't remember, but I think I had some kind of test going on the week after, and so I was just like I'm trying to zone out of organic chemistry, and I was like, and we were having the conversation. Us and our little group was having a little deep conversation, and yeah, I jumped in and for a little bit, and we started talking, and from there, I think it got to a point where it was my brain started getting all mixed up, and I was just like, I'm gassed, like I'm tired, like of
Yeah.
conversation. But like it's a pretty good to be honest, like looking back at it, it's a pretty cool way to just open up and have meaningful conversations because I feel like in society and stuff especially on like social media and on the internet and stuff like that. It's hard to have like a deep, meaningful conversation. And it's something I kind of want to have. I try to have with my friends, and I know a lot of people really want to have deep conversations too. So I think it's a good way to just have meaningful conversations. And when you were talking about it in class, like the conversations we were having and stuff, it kind of caught me off guard too because we haven't had, at least I haven't had that many deep conversations with like people I'm not like the closest to. So it's like, meeting other people and seeing that they're interested in stuff and having deep conversations was really interesting for me. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Funny situation for sure.
definitely. And people are different, but it makes me sad sometimes when I'm trying to talk to someone and I might not even be going that deep. I might be keeping it shallow, but they're just not entertaining the conversation whatsoever. Have you had experiences like that? And do you give them the benefit of the doubt, or how do you approach that?
Okay. So in my life, or at least in my situation, when I have deep, meaningful conversations, it's always like with the people I'm like super tight with, like well, I'm super close with, right? And so sometimes when you're trying to have conversations with like people you're not as familiar with, it kind of comes off as like is there some kind of motive or it just comes it comes off a little weird, right? And so at least in me in particular too, it's like if I don't know the person that well, I don't know like where it's coming from. And so when I kind of get to know the person and I see like this is the type of the person they are, and they are genuine with it, and they just want to have and they just want to have genuine conversations, and they love learning, and you can tell those people. And so I just feel like it comes off as genuine, and it's a good time to have these kind of conversations, especially with people like if you're gonna say something and they're actually receptive to it, and even combat what you say. And what I mean by combat is like if you say something, they're gonna challenge it. They're gonna say something that you haven't thought of before. And so those are what build really productive conversations. And I know you're that one of those type of people. And so that's why having a deep conversation with you is I like it. You know, it's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. I honestly, man, from my heart, thank you for the kind words. And it's funny that you mentioned this because I remember you said to me one time, like, yo, when I first met you, I thought you were trying to psychoanalyze me. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, man, like, it's just how I am, you know? It's just,
yeah.
I just enjoy speaking to people that way.
Mhm.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, to add on to that, it's just like the way you talk, and I know you know this because I told this to you, Trait. Like the way you talk sometimes comes off as like you're trying to analyze the way I think and stuff. And in my like in where I've grown up in my environment, I'm just not very familiar with people like that, and so yeah, and then after getting to know you and kind of seeing who you are, I'm like, oh, he's that type of person. He likes to learn a lot. He likes to ask questions, and I encourage that. In fact, I think that's a really good quality for people. And I think the smartest people, like the best people, always ask questions. They're always inquisitive, and they're always trying to learn more about their environment and their surroundings. And I know you're one of those people. And so I've seen what you've done with the podcast and the questions you've been asking to the other people coming on, and I really enjoy it. And I think if I come in, it might be maybe I can add something, or maybe help you think of something a certain way or something like that. Is my thinking, or maybe you can change my mind. Is kind of why I hopped on the podcast, and we'll see how things would go from there.
Definitely. Yeah. One thing I've been thinking about is this podcast. The way I see it is like it's a mosaic. Over time, it unveils, the bigger picture. And yeah, man, I'm very happy to have you be a part of that mosaic, and somebody can listen to this conversation and they might not be expecting it, but it might change something in them. And I really believe that about conversations that they can literally change lives. Literally, just one thing you could hear, you're like, damn, it flips the switch in you, right? Or even like a book. The way I see books are like markers in time in my life, where it's like I read that one book and it literally changed the trajectory of my life. Or you heard a song, or you played a video game, or you took a class and it literally changes things. So to be a part of that change, to contribute to that change, hopefully in like a positive way, I think that's like the aim. And yeah, so
I
it's cool of you
appreciate
to
it.
say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something that I've been really fascinated by recently. Are you familiar with The Giver?
I've read it, I think back in middle school or high school, but I forgot the plot.
Yeah, and that's another great example of like just one book that I read that changed my life. They
How
live in a
so?
society. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just asking how so.
Yeah, so the whole story is, they live in a society that's equal in every way you can think. There's no differences, right? And so everybody like thinks the same way. They have these established rules. Nobody questions them, and they're assigned these little roles in life. So the giver, he's one of these individuals, but the interesting thing about him is that he possesses the memories of like humanity before this dystopian society. And it's his job to give these memories and experiences and emotions to the receiver, someone who will take his place when he's gone. And so that's what the story of the giver focuses on. And basically the receiver, he decides like, yo, I want to liberate my society. I want to change things. I want differences can be dangerous, but differences can also be a very beautiful thing, and that's what allows humanity to thrive. And so he wants to free his society from the sameness. And it's a long story, it's a long journey, but what allows him to make this change, to be brave enough to surmount the obstacles in front of him is the memories, the experiences, and the emotions that the giver gave him. And I just think it's so beautiful that that's the case because that's the story of man. That says so much about us that we can do so much just by the memories that we have, just by the emotions we have, just by the experiences that have shaped us. And I just think it's so cool. And I was wondering if your memories allow you to keep going, if they give you strength to do the impossible things in your life.
Okay, so in my situation, so I would phrase the word memories in my situation to be my environment and what I've been surrounded with, right? So my family is a big part of my environment. Probably, so one of my major core values is family and maintaining my family and my future generations and all that stuff, just because it's within my culture. So my environment and my family plays is like one of the most pivotal aspects of my core values. And so it's family and religion. That's my biggest things. And so if I feel like those are my foundations, and so those are what shape like kind of how I am. And to add on to like the giver and how those memories helped him kind of become a particular to help him like help free the utopia, I guess. Um, I feel like my situation, my family is what drives me to be the best that I can be and to improve myself. Because my family, like I want to put my family in a better place. And just hearing stories from my parents, and I know this is a pretty common immigrant story, but my parents, they came from India, and then my mom in particular had nothing, and she moved to Oman and in the Middle East when she was my age, and went over there. She built herself from nothing, and then she married my dad, who also came from nothing, and they came together, came to a new country where they didn't even know the language, and they came together and they built a good environment for me and my family. I think that's amazing. That's it's crucial. I feel like if I was in their situation, I would not be able to do something like that to that kind of extent. And I feel like it's their environment, the type of the people they are, God's grace kind of allowed them to get that to be in the right place in the right time. And so for me, it's like my environment and the people that are closest to me is what kind of drives me and pushes me to be the best and to succeed and to accomplish all my goals. And so, yeah, that's why I think The Giver was an amazing book when I read it. I just don't remember because it was a while back, but I just really like that theme of like having an environment and have him having his memories that kind of make him a dynamic character. And yeah, that's what I think about the book, and that's kind of been my experiences so far. And I'm like, life changes. We're all gonna have change the way we think in the future, and I feel like I'm probably like 20 years later in my life, I'm probably going to change completely what I think. And I don't know, maybe you too. It's probably going to be like that. But I like how like the foundation that are built right now, and I think that's what's taking me and pushing me to my goals.
Beautiful thing you mentioned. We live in a day and age where it seems like family values are being shattered. And it's very cool that you share that, your family is your foundation, it's your core. How do you think we can cultivate beautiful families?
So in my situation, so family in my culture is a big, like it's a core value for all of us. So in my culture in India, we have a family name. I know that's not pretty common. I mean, that's not really common in America, but we have our own family names. We all know each other. We're all very connected with each other.
What's your
And
family name, if you don't mind me
mine is,
asking?
yeah, yeah, sure. Mine is Nindamako.
Wow, what does that mean?
I don't know what it means. I'm sorry. I don't know the lineage, but I just know my ancestors and my uncles and my cousins, they all have that family name. And so that kind of was what
Interesting.
was connected. And
That's
so
cool.
yeah, it is really because when you think about it, it's like that's what that we have. Even I don't talk to every single one of my cousins. We have third cousins, second cousins, all over the world. Even though I don't get to talk to them directly, they're like I don't get to see them all the time. It's that family name that kind of keeps us connected in a way. So we have some kind of connection that's above, our typical bystander. So we have that family name. So whenever I see them, I know that they're related. We have some kind of connection. And so that's a big factor in kind of our core values and also in our culture. sticking together as a family is a massive aspect in our culture. In America, I know how things are. It's not as connected. I feel like a lot of people are very divided in America, and there's different environments, different cultures. I know that there's a lot of dividing. I know divorce is a major thing in the U.S. In my culture, divorce is not really a thing. Well, that's not true. I feel like divorce is there, but like it's kind of frowned on. And with that, there's also advantages and disadvantages to that too. I feel like there's disadvantages and advantages to everything. But just the culture that we kind of build that I've grown up on and the environment that I've been kind of promotes that family aspect. And yeah, I love my family. I know if anything happens to me, they'll have my back. And yeah, they're like a rock to me that kind of keeps me grounded. And so how life, we have ups and downs, and it kind of it kind of spirals, it kind of like a wave, right? And so um I feel like having that baseline is easier to maintain for me because I have like my family to talk to. So if I'm like in a high point of my life, I can talk to them, and they kind of they'd share my successes. And then when I'm in a low point, they'd be there to comfort me. And so that's what I really enjoy about my family. And I think that's a blessing that I have. Definitely a grace from God, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, honestly.
Thank you.
I had been interested in the story of Cain for a while, and when I was talking to one of my pastor friends, he shed some light on something fascinating to me, which was the sin of Cain is neglect, neglecting others and neglecting yourself. And I think a crucial part of having a beautiful family is not neglecting others, like actually being there actively and kind of giving attention, giving care. And that's something that I hope to cultivate. Do you ever feel neglected in your family? And if you've ever felt anything like that, how do you combat that?
So, as of now, like as for a long time, I don't think I felt neglected by my family just because I'm in a really good situation right now. My family is amazing. Um, I do think that there's issues in every family. We do have our issues too, but we also have our positives too. And as for neglect in your daily life, I'm not too sure just because I'm not really familiar with neglect because I'm in a really
Hmm.
blessed situation right now. But based on my what I can hypothesize or what I think that neglect is like really um really dangerous for people, like especially for their mental health. Because another one of my values that's really important to me is loyalty. And so if you do something for them, like that they're gonna have your back. And so I feel like that neglect kind of counteracts that loyalty in a way, and it's like the opposite. So trust and loyalty um, is like they're opposites to each other. And I feel like if you don't have that trust, you can't build meaningful relationships with people. And
What
so,
do you mean by trust and loyalty are opposites of each other? Do you mean
no,
like,
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I meant trust and loyalty are in similar wavelengths with each other, but they're
oh, okay,
opposite
okay.
with neglect. And
Okay,
so,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like, if you have that trust and loyalty, neglect is not really there, but that can happen. There's different relationships where neglect can kind of be there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
So,
develop. Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no problem.
I was curious, what do you think? How do you cultivate trust? How do you cultivate loyalty?
So in my experience, trust and loyalty comes with time, and it comes with knowing that um like and it comes with time and like being together. So that communal aspect, that social aspect. So the reason I'm really tight with my family is because I see them all the time. I know that we're always connected. We're always right next to each other, and we have that kind of connection. And we're always reaching out and asking each other, "How are you doing?" Um, checking up on each other, and it's that we're right next to each other. I feel like that trust kind of a byproduct of being together and that time. Because I feel like you can reach out to. I'm not too familiar with like short-term relationships and how like they last. Just because all my relationships are um like are built based on time. And so you probably need to ask someone else about that. But for me, my relationships with my family come from time, and building new relationships is definitely a slow process for me, just because I don't have like time is a major aspect like that I believe needs to be in relationships, and also being in different situations and circumstances and seeing
Yeah.
how, how we kind of piggyback off each other and see how things go.
And patience too, man. Oh my
Patience.
goodness. Some people, they really try my patience. It's like, oh man, I
Yeah,
just kind of
man.
have to, you know, be calm and just ride the wave of time, the tide of time, as it were.
Right. And also you can you can add to that just by reaching out to them and connecting with them all the time and trying to discover different aspects about them. So you know how everybody has their own different interests and things that they're good at, strengths and weaknesses, right? Everybody has their own strengths, their own um interests. It's up to you to kind of reach out to them and ask them and see what they're about and what they're interested in. And maybe your interests align, and you got somewhere to take the relationship. So there is a bit of you aspect, a little bit of personal accountability, to where you have to go reach out to somebody and you have to try to observe like all the different aspects about them and try to learn as much as you can about them, which will help you kind of build that relationship. And I feel like trust kind of is a byproduct of that, because you're the more you kind of try to reach out to them, the more time you're going to spend with them, and that time builds up, and it's like a positive reinforcement. So
That is the hope. That is certainly the hope. And, there's never really a blanket answer for this, but I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are on this. Where do you draw the line? How much is too much of reaching out to someone, of sincerely like being interested and trying to get to know them? And where do you draw that line of, yo, I gotta put my hands in the air and let it be as it is?
yeah, yeah. To be honest, I'm still struggling with that too. Like as I said, most of my relationships are like long standing, so I still struggle a little bit with making short term relationships. I mean, trying to take that short term relationship into a long term relationship. And as for your question, I feel like you need to draw that line if someone passes your boundaries, right? So in every relationship you establish, you got to establish boundaries, and you have to be able to you have to be able to set them to where if somebody crosses those boundaries, that's a big no-no for you. Like the relationship is done. And so for me, if you pass a boundary, like I keep it as tight as I can, and I try to be open and express it as clearly as I can. Um, but if you pass a boundary for me, I just feel like it's hard for me to trust you and to see that you're gonna um, respect like what I have set for you and just the relationship we should have. And I feel like because that's where time is a big aspect. You got to get to know them, and if you cross that boundary super quickly, it's like, man, I don't know like what kind of relationship you're trying to build, or like what are you trying to do, um, and what type of person you are. Because I feel like if you respect somebody, you would respect their boundaries. And so to like whenever you start a relationship, always establish boundaries as clear as possible. And if they disrespect that boundary, that's a no for me. But but yeah, if they're not violating your boundaries, I feel like you could just keep on reaching out. Keep on trying to get to know them. And I know it gets harder, with life and stuff. Everybody has work, everybody's busy. But if you reach out to the best of your ability, at least you could say that you did your part. And if you did your part, that's always, the best foot forward that you can take. And
And I
so
always think that's synonymous with sincerity, at least for myself. It's like if I'm sincere, then I know that I've really done my part. Everything else is kind of like take it as it comes, give it as it goes. But
right.
I'm
I
curious. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with that statement. Yeah, sincerity.
Yeah, I'm curious if you don't mind me asking, what do you base your boundaries around or on?
So for boundaries, for me, I feel like boundaries is something you kind of have to it's based on your core values. So it's based on what you think um it's based on like what you believe in, right? So it differs for each person. Each person has different boundaries. And so that's something I feel like you have to like look into yourself and ask what can you tolerate versus um, what you can't tolerate, and you have to build that boundary. I'll try to give you an example if I can think of one. Um, but I think a boundary for me is like talking behind my back is one for sure. When if I see that, I can kind of tell that if you're gonna talk behind my back, you're probably gonna talk to someone else's back, and
So
you're
true.
about me. And so I feel like that's a boundary. If I hear that, it's like, okay, so that's the type of person you are. Okay, so
Yeah.
and I
And I
feel
grow
like
so, yeah, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
no, go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say I grow very wary of people that like start talking trash in front of me about someone else.
Yeah,
Like I just kind of go like silent mode and like kind of slowly distance myself. It's
yeah,
very it's just very unattractive.
right,
Yeah. But
right.
keep going. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, as for like talking behind my back, like it's just something I know that if you're gonna do that to me, you're probably gonna do that to someone else, and something someone else like about me, and also like these qualities kind of they're like I can kind of tell the person you are, and I only want to build like I don't I've grown to accept the fact that my circle based on my personality is just gonna be small. I'm not a type of person to uh to have large amount of friends, and I feel like in the past that was a big thing for me. I feel like I really wanted to develop have as many friends as I can, but I feel like when growing up and looking to people that I respect, I noticed that like their circles are very small, and it's all people that are like in their level or higher, and they're always encouraging them to grow and to improve. And so I realized that if I have so many people that I'm friends with, there's only a limited amount of attention I can put to each person. And if I want to build meaningful relationships with people, it has to be like with the people that are going to reciprocate that, and or we can each help each other grow. And so just to add on to, I kind of forgot the question, but just to add on to that, I feel like we're always trying to grow. I'm trying to help see other people grow too. I'm just that type of person. I feel like my personality is where I like to see other people grow, and I like to see other people improve because it's like motivation for me to kind of work harder too. And
Yeah.
cascading effect. And I feel like I can learn off of other people too. And I really want to be a doctor in the future. And so I feel like a successful doctor is somebody who learns from other people and are able to communicate. That communication and learning from other people is key. So I think
Yes.
learning from other people, developing a really meaningful social circle would just help me get to my goals, and help me be a better person overall, because that's
Yeah.
in the future.
It's very cool that you mentioned this. Yeah, no, it's really cool to it's nice to be happy for other people that are doing nice or they're doing well. It's a beautiful thing, it really is. And I think like sometimes if you get jealous of someone that's doing well, it's a great indication of what you want in your own life. And so
Yeah.
that could be like the motivation of, oh, this is what you need to do now. This is where your aim is now, kind of a thing. But you mentioned something I was thinking about as you mentioned all this was I feel like medicine and religion should have like the kindest people in them, right? The most open, communicative, like compassionate. But sometimes in my experience, those circles end up having like some of the rudest people. Now, of course, there's not a blanket statement for this either, but have you ever noticed that? And if you have, like, what do you make of that? What do you think is going on there?
Yeah, of course. I feel like people are people, and each person's different. And so, whichever, like, no matter what environment you're in, like even the grandest of environments, like for example, like if you're in an amazing family, people have their own temperaments, and people have come from their own environments, and there's always bad apples in every single workplace. Like if you go to work, there's always people um that they have their own agendas and motives, but there's also people that are really motivated and they want to become the best. And so it's there in every environment, and it just comes with experience, knowing that we all have different goals, and if you want to achieve your goals, it's up to you to play your part. And so you're talking about medicine and and religion, right? So, in every single in like medicine in particular, I know there are doctors that have different goals for my what I want, and I won't like, and I can accept that. And so, yeah, there's just different people. Each person has their own temperament, and so, even in religion too, each some people have they don't want to do certain things, and some people do. It's just what you're willing to accept, and you don't need to worry about those other people. You just worry about yourself. Stay in your lane and accomplish your goals.
Yeah,
So
and I yeah, again, sorry. Were you gonna say something?
no, no, no. I was no, no.
I was gonna say that it's important to not allow people that are like rude or mean or bad tempered to get onto us, like trying to think of the wording. You know how like when someone is really, really depressed, it's contagious?
Yeah,
Like also when people are really, really rude or mean, it can be contagious. Like it can make you that way. It's
yeah,
important to like keep calm and just remain your own rock, like, oh, they can be that way, but I'll try to remain magnanimous, so to speak.
yeah. To add
Going
on.
back, yes, yes.
Oh
Go
no, I
ahead.
was gonna jump on that. So and that kind of and that's where like I feel like environment is a major aspect like of how people develop. Like like epigenetics is a major thing that people are trying to learn about, and that's like the environment effect on people's genes and how they might change. And so I feel like environment, a lot of people like downplay the amount of significance your environment plays on you. And I feel like, if you're in an environment where there's some people that have contagious different personalities or like different things that you don't want in your life, that's where you kind of you shift your environment, right? In my situation, like if I'm in a situation like that, I have my family. I always have them I can talk to, and I can like ask them, what should I do, and they'd give me advice and they'd help me out. Kind of They'd kind of be that environment that overrules the negativity on the outside, and so I feel like I have that rock, I have that foundation, and that's why I really like after I've pondered about like this for so long, and I just realized that like the environment that I'm in is a really conducive is one that's really conducive to my personal growth and one I'm really thankful for. And I know there's a lot of people that are not in that situation. And I would say try to change your environment, try to change yourself and put yourself in a different position to that's kind of conducive to you succeeding. And yeah, that's probably what I say to that. I don't have too much experience with, um, like there's always people that are like, trying to bring you down, but I have that foundation for me. I know a lot of people don't have that. So like, you'd have to find that environment and yeah, go from there.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact quote, but Jordan Peterson had said something like, you're under no obligation to interact with those people or talk to those people that make you feel terrible about yourself or something like that. And that's a true one, Because, yeah, like you said, the environment it really shapes you and all these contagious personalities. Yeah,
Right.
it's a thing. It's
I
definitely
love
a
how
thing.
you watch Jordan Peterson because I watched him a lot and I really liked a lot of the personal like the personal growth things he tells you how you can improve as a person, and I really like what he's talking about. Like the some of his messages is to clean your room, for example. That
It's a
hit me
powerful one.
yeah, because it's your environment. He's talking about your environment. You change your environment that you can immediately change, and then from there it kind of expands into stuff that's kind of at the edge of your reach. And so just if you can set the environment right around you to the way you want it to be, then you can start branching out. And I really like that message. I think
Yes.
I think that's really conducive to how people like real leaders in the future, like leaders, they're able to control their own environment, control their headspace, and then from there they can start making moves that that influences other people's lives. So that I really like that message of him taking control of your own self before you can start looking outward. And so I really love,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, he got that from Carl Jung, I believe. And Carl Jung got it from like the Buddhists. And the idea was that your mind and like what's outside of you, there's almost no difference. So, the idea about the room is like this. I told my dad this. It's like if my room's messy, then
Uh-huh.
you know something's like off inside of me. I'm not
Mm,
feeling good or there's some issue going on. But if it's clean, I'm in order. I'm in order. Like I'm doing what I need to be doing.
right, right.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And to jump on that, I do think that there's definitely been instances in my life where, my room was not clean, Um, I got a little bit lazy and I'm feeling a certain type of way, but that's up to you to to pick that up the next day and kind of uh to overcome kind of what you did in the past. Or what I mean by that is like so if I didn't clean my room one day, I tried the next day to go restart that habit and try to build that from there and reduce the amount of instances that happens. And so it's up to you to kind of shape that environment, because if you want to be somewhere, I personally believe if you want to be somewhere in life, like if you want to improve in life, you have to control your environment and control the people that interact with you, and just be in charge of yourself before you can reach out to other people. So
Yeah. All
and
the
I love
cliche
that.
truths, right? All the
Yeah,
cliche
yeah,
truths.
yeah. No, they're cliche.
Discipline, patience, routine, all that.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is a lot of people hear these truths and it just passes them, they hear it but they don't really understand it. And I feel like that's a lot of things, in life. If you I feel like true wisdom comes from hearing these things and applying, like hearing knowing what is good and then applying what you can do. That's what I think true wisdom is. And so if you can take these truths, something that you've learned that's helpful in your life, and apply it, and build a routine out of it, I feel like that you can make it impossible. I mean, like it's impossible to break that person down. It's impossible to set him off his path. So
Yes. And I think the beauty in that, even if you hear things and they pass you by, there's still beauty in that because it's like planting a seed. It's like
mm,
even if that tree doesn't just shoot out immediately, like it's been in your mind for a while now. And so say years later, it eventually begins to blossom and bloom.
right,
So
right, right. That's what
yeah.
we hope for. That's what we hope for. Sometimes these seeds just stay dormant the rest of your life, and so that's where I think that environment. If you put yourself in the right environment to help these seeds grow, um, I feel like nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
If you're in like a depressing, I'm sorry to push my response, but if you're in a depressing situation, like it's kind of hard for your seeds to grow. That's why you got to set that environment clear and make it as strong as possible, very conducive to growth, and then that's what's going to help you grow and help these seeds blossom.
I really love how you said that, man. Because you said dormant, these dormant seeds, and that simultaneously in a way like it acknowledges a truth that they're in you. You just have to wake them up.
Right.
And that's so cool. That's so
Hmm.
cool.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And it's, I'm praying that, hopefully I can, all these seeds that are dormant in me, because I know I'm blessed just from the environment, from God. And so if I can get these seeds to grow, there's no stopping, you know? So that positive mindset is what's kind of pushing me. So I'm excited for that.
Dude, Rahul, honestly, I had a lot of fun. This was a good conversation. Sorry, did you say something?
No, yeah, I said same here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
same here. It's been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the thing you shared, honestly.
Oh,
And
no problem.
I'm curious, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to say, but you didn't get a chance to, or something on your mind that you wanted to express?
To be honest, for my closing thoughts, I just wanted to talk to you directly and be like, man, I love the podcast. I love what you're doing, encouraging conversations, having deep conversations, because I feel like a lot of people have these kind of thoughts in their head, but they don't have like an outlet to say it. So I feel like I love what you're doing with the podcast, and I encourage you to keep it up. Keep reaching out to people, can on campus, off campus, different personalities, backgrounds. If you can ask have different questions that you want to ask them, and really get to know the person, and have something to talk about. I feel like everybody has something to talk about, so just reach out to them. And I love what you're doing. Keep it up, man.
Thank you. I thank you for the kind words, man.
No
Always
problem.
appreciated.
Love the pro.
And
I love that.
yeah, thank you. And there's many different seeds I planted actually for the reason why I began this podcast, but one of them was definitely like, you know, what we're doing right here is not like an act. Like this is how you and me would talk even in real life, you know?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's like a reflection of real life. Like, hey, we have cool conversations. What if there's a place to capture it? And then we can look back at it, and it's like what
Yeah,
makes it
man.
more special is you talked about family, right? When you're looking for advice or wisdom or whatever, you go to your family and friends. Well, this is so cool because now it's like 3 months later, say, if I'm alive, God willing, I can go back to like Rahul's episode and hear something you said. And it's like, wow, Rahul said that. I needed to hear that. And it hits more because it's my friend,
Yeah.
and who knows who it'll influence in the future. But
Right, man.
that's
Same
the hope, right?
Yeah, same reasons. I'd love to come back to the podcast and listen in and see what one of the other guests or maybe what you said or what they've said. And I'd love to learn and like maybe that'll help me out in the future. And I think another thing you kind of brought up was, writing down or documenting or like keeping record of your experiences, right? Or the way you think, right? Because, I said in the previously, the way you might think may change, right? So it's kind of cool to look back and seeing what you're thinking about, like right now, and to kind of see how that changed. I just love that like seeing how things change. I think that's an amazing trait, and I just I love to do that in my own personal life. I'm kind of trying to work on that too because I'm a little bit less of a photo person. Like I don't like taking videos as much. So I'm trying to, take more videos, take more pictures, document my life right now so you can look back in the future and see how things are, So I love what you're doing. I love the whole recording this and kind of looking back at it from the future and seeing how things go. So love what you're doing, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to mention one more thing, which was Rahul, you're here because you wanted to be here, man.
Yeah.
And I really admire that. It's like you wanted to do this, and that's just like a testament that like if anyone wants to do anything, they'll really do it. If they really want to do it, they'll do it. So that alone is just another powerful thing. Yeah,
Right, man. I agree too. And I think that, if you really set your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. And I love reaching out to you about these conversations because I saw what you did in the past. And I know I know you can create these conversations that are deeply meaningful. And a lot of people are thinking about, and so just voicing these out. And, it's from someone who's like similar age, similar experiences, So I love that, this is what we're thinking. This is kind of what our general this is what people my age are thinking. And so it's kind of cool to seeing how people think and how we're kind of all growing, after watching these videos and having these conversations. So I love that. It's really
absolutely. And
yeah.
I love that you were here, man. Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thank
it'd be
you so
awesome to
much,
have you
man.
on again someday, right? You never know.
No, yeah, we just reach out to me. We can set something up again. We could
Yeah.
start it again. Thank
Well,
you
Rahul, my friend, keep rocking the hair, keep rocking the beard.
so
You
much, man.
stay cool and
All
you take care, eh?
right, man. Peace out. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.